Zeller, while another former state high school star, Colt Ryan, on center court as well for Evansville. A sellout crowd is expected, and an amped-up one at that, at the Ford Center tonight in downtown Evansville, next on ESPN 3. It is indeed the toughest ticket in town. Tonight, beloved Indiana is in the house to take on the Aces of Evansville on ESPN 3. I'm Jim Barber with the coach, Mark Adams. The winner tonight stays undefeated in his youthful season, but so much more at stake, and in particular for Indiana, it concerns the road woes, does it not?
Well, it certainly does, as Indiana has really struggled to get road victories, and now they're in their home state, but playing against a very much improved and continuing to rise up in the Missouri Valley. This is an Evansville team that's got some talent.
Time to go one-on-one. Let's do it with two former Indiana high school basketball all-stars.
Cody Zeller is a big basketball player. He understands the game. He gets deflections defensively. He makes his teammates better on the offensive floor. And Colt Ryan, if you need a big play coming down the stretch, Colt Ryan delivered the last 6 points in overtime to defeat Butler in the season opener. We've got two Indiana basketball teams, but Indiana's not at home tonight. They're playing in Evansville.
Starting lineups for Indiana on the left. It's a three-guard attack, and up front, a couple of good ones. Of course, Cody Zeller grew up 45 minutes away from here, and Christian Watford at 6'9", 225. For the Aces, Taylor and Ryan in the backcourt, Harris and Holmes up front, and Matt Peeler, who can play either forward or center. Not a true post, but athletic and a good screener. Mike Sanzier, Tommy Eads, and Paul Jansen will officiate tonight's game. Few bugs in the new arena, including the fact that shot clock and horn have had difficulty working, and we'll keep our eye on that as the evening progresses. Indiana in the dark red uniforms on the road tonight. This is Halls. And Oladipo with an offensive board, and he is foul issue 2.
For Indiana, excellent start of getting Cody Zeller involved right away. One thing Tom Crean has impressed upon his team in practice after practice, give the ball to number 40, Cody Zeller, and he's unselfish, made the extra pass.
Cody Zeller led the Washington High School Hatchets to a number of state championships, and they said there was only, 6,000 people that wanted to see him play tonight from nearby Washington, 45 minutes away.
He's got a great fan club, that's for sure, and they are here decked out in red tonight.
Harris had to give up his dribble. First possession of the game for the Aces. Ryan gets loose for the moment.
Watch Evansville, how they really work ball to and fro. The more reversals they get, the more they feel they can expose the interior just like that.
With the shot clock winding down, Harris with a miss. Zeller with the rebound, and here come the Hoosiers. Rodell Jones dropped down Watford. Basket and one. 2 possessions, and Indiana already fouled twice in the act of shooting.
This is why Indiana is different. They can go down low to a Christian Watford. They can go down low to a Cody Zeller. This is no longer a donut basketball team. There's some extra pastry inside now, and those guys can play.
An Indiana team that's been miserable on the road in the Big Ten Conference, 1-26 over the last 3 years.
So how do you fix that? Get it inside, play great defense. We're going to be looking for deflections from Indiana all night long. Will they get deflections to take away dribble penetration?
Jordan Hall's open lane to the basket.
Pretty easy for Indiana so far.
Part of the plan tonight was to have Halls try to spread the floor for the Hoosiers, and that time he had an open lane to the goal. 5-0 IU.
Watch number 11 in white, Colt Ryan. Switching off defensively. Full denial of Colt Ryan. Has not gotten a touch this entire half-court possession.
Victor Oladipo making it tough on him as the shot clock down to 5. He'll force a shot. Didn't get anywhere near the goal. And it's out of bounds with 2 seconds remaining. Let's take a look at Indiana's last score.
Indiana wants to get the ball inside. And what better way to do it than in the full court offense and drive the ball directly to the basket. Indiana has scored 2 times from the low block and right there on the dribble drive. Good start for Indiana.
And a turnover. Here's Oladipo, who's got that great athletic ability. Watford tried to follow. It'll be out of bounds to the Hoosiers, but it's a struggle for Evansville to get any looks so far in this game.
Evansville really out of sort defensively. Marty Simmons has done a good job of incrementally improving this program. Now in a new building, a sellout crowd tonight. This could be a statement game for the Missouri Valley and for Evansville.
Good point. Oh, second basket of the game and a 7-0 Indiana start.
And lots of easy baskets for Indiana. Very atypical of this Evansville defense. Usually much more stingy.
Good pass inside Harris, and Evansville on the board for the first 2 points of the night by Harris.
Indiana so concerned to defend the perimeter against Colt Ryan. Evansville could expose that paint area.
Blocked by Peeler. Here come the Aces in their home white. Ryan on the move, a little too strong, but he got the rebound. And Colt Ryan, who got to the free throw line 18 times against Butler on Saturday, is to the line for the first 2 times tonight. Well, lost in the shuffle of all the publicity for Cody Zeller, and understandably so, is this guy who was a big star at Batesville. And in fact, had over 1,700 career points there and was an Indiana high school all-star.
Colt Ryan is as good at moving without the basketball as anybody in college basketball. He moves in V's, jab steps, very defined. He can fade off of screens. He's got a full package offensively. Not just a shooter, truly a scorer who moves extremely well without the basketball.
Over 2 games now, 15 for 20 from the free throw line.
I'd look for another inside touch, especially to Zeller on the backside. There he is.
Drop down to Watford inside. Good big man game there.
Another wrinkle for the Indiana offense with Cody Zeller. High-low can be so effective at 6'11", coming up from the backside.
Ned Cox, one of the super subs in the Missouri Valley, missing on the shot. Oladipo on the baseline, a pretty move.
Marty Simmons has to be very, very concerned, and there's the timeout right there.
Fifth season for the Evansville head coach. As Mark mentioned, some improvement last year with a 500 record, but his team is in a 8-point hole early. Now, that wasn't a big deal against Butler over the weekend as they spotted the Bulldogs 13 in the second half, but this is an experienced Indiana team that can get the ball up and down the court and can attack the goal, as the Hoosiers have already.
Oh, and Cody Zeller makes such a difference because of his size and ability to pass. Little high-low right there. The entire defense was ball focused. So what does Zeller do? Reads the defender, goes to high post, and a high-low pass inside. That's what I like about Cody Zeller. It's not just that he can score the basketball. He makes everyone else better.
Tom Crean talked with us today and said, you know what? Nothing phases him. All this interest from friends and family for this game. Poised kid has a lot to do with the fact that the Zellers are a basketball family. Holmes with the field goal for the Aces. His first of the night.
Zeller just outran everybody down the floor. Indiana didn't recognize him.
Gets set up in a low post, and Matt Peeler draws that assignment for the Aces.
Indiana constantly looking, probing inside. They want to get Zeller touch after touch after touch.
Shot clock at 10. Zeller with a high pick. and able to draw a personal foul in doing so on Peeler. Great start for Indiana. Trying to go 3-0 on this very young season. It's the Hoosiers 11, the Aces 5.
We'd like to thank Old National Bank for their continued support of Aces Athletics.
Jim Barber, Mark Adams. That's an attractive look there, by the way. Fun crowd on hand tonight, and the Zeller family, of course, in the house. Dad, Steve. Mom, Lori. Hope is to the right. That's Luke's wife and Cody's sister-in-law. And Mom and Dad were out in San Diego to watch Tyler play in the North Carolina-Michigan State matchup on 11-11-11 in the aircraft carrier, and said, what a sight. Had a chance to meet a lot of servicemen. Very special visit.
It's a great event that ESPN and obviously our armed forces put together. You know, Cody Zeller, of course, we're all familiar with the Zeller name in college basketball, and just a short swim across the Ohio River in Kentucky. They love bloodlines of great thoroughbreds. Pretty good bloodline in that Zeller family, because this kid is a true thoroughbred.
And the feeling is those bloodlines keep him so poised and composed that there isn't anything that he can't face. That draws the support from this crowd on the flush by the freshman.
Well, the entire Big Ten right now is watching this open against a good and competitive Evansville basketball team, and they realize, if they didn't before now, Cody Zeller changes the complexion of the Big Ten race.
And because of Zeller's dunk, Indiana 6 for 8 shooting the ball, and a number of the baskets coming from very close range.
The other plus for Indiana is deflections. Watch them move their feet and watch their active hands. They had 66 deflections against Chattanooga.
The Aces just 2 for 7, have already picked up 3 personal fouls. Having to shoot in desperation as the shot clock winding down. And look how quickly Indiana gets into the front court. Shot clock at 15 as Watford handles out high. And he is fouled by Harris, already team foul number 4 in the Aces. As Marty Simmons barks at referee Mike Sanzier.
Well, that's also frustration for Marty Simmons, as 10 seconds on the shot clock. The last thing you want to do is get caught in a blocking situation like that. Boy, Evansville really out of sync.
Unforced error on the part of IU turns the ball back to the Aces. Simmons had a very active workout shoot around today. Talked a lot about spacing, attacking the goal, and being confident enough to win this game.
He's got to get touches. Colt Ryan has to get involved in this game offensively.
And free throws coming up for the Aces.
Number 40, Cody Zeller, that's his first personal foul, team second.
Cody Zeller's first, team foul number 2. Rokas Chesnalavic to the free throw line. Freshman from Lithuania. I was really hoping you would get a chance to try that first.
I decided to let you jump in first, Jim.
You know, I missed you while you were in Hawaii.
Rokas Chesnalavic.
Good job, by the way, in the 24-hour hoops marathon.
Great event by ESPN. 25 hours of pure basketball. It was heaven.
Zeller inside, and he's getting such a deep catch.
The help was late, and Zeller big enough, tough enough, strong enough, even as a freshman, great hands to go up and finish with the double team coming. Very impressed by Indiana here early. Team is 1-26 in Big Ten road games in the last several years. This team looks very focused tonight. Another deflection by Indiana.
Ryan gets a pop out and buries a 3.
3 points.
Back the other way. Drop down Zeller. Great move.
Zeller.
Lefty, and the extension of the step to the paint. Welcome to Big Ten basketball, Cody Zeller. This is a different day for Indiana basketball.
Already his third field goal in the first half in less than 7 minutes. IU by 8, 17-9.
Good cut.
Zeller over to help out, and nobody to get the weak side. And Rokas able to follow it up and bring the Aces within 6.
Chesnolavicius has made a difference on the offensive end, but defensively, he can't handle Zeller.
Zeller pushing against him and trying to get loose inside, and they're going body to body right now. Verdell Jones the third buries a 3 from deep left corner.
Verdell Jones the third, 3 points.
Indiana just looks different. This is a different mentality, a better skilled basketball team, and a big guy that can really play.
And one guy does make the difference, doesn't he?
Well, this has been a developing group of basketball players too, but that development, along with the length of Cody Zeller, there's another deflection block shot for Indiana.
But sometimes on the deflections, the ball comes out to the right guy, and that's Denver Holmes with a 3. And the Aces, after a very difficult start, seem to have settled in, Mark.
Denver Holmes, one of those guys, an X-factor guy, according to Tom Crean.
Oladipo on that cut inside, and Jordan Halls recognized him, and the pace is starting to pick up.
But here's the problem. Evansville simply can't stop Indiana on the defensive end.
So can the Aces play at this tempo? We'll explore that idea. In the meantime, the kid that grew up 45 minutes from this beautiful stadium, Cody Zeller, already has 3 baskets and the block shot. Indiana center Cody Zeller with 3 field goals and 3 attempts. As a team, Indiana is 10 for 12. And Mark, most of the hoops are coming very close to the goal.
That's because Cody Zeller is going to run the floor and shape up early. It doesn't get any higher percentage than that. As he moves the defender up, the double comes, catches, and finishes. Makes it look easy. And then the long step with the right foot into the paint with the left hand. This kid, offensively 3 for 3. But, Jim, I'll tell you what I like best about him. Defensively with the block shot and his ability to get his hands on the ball. Indiana with 5 deflections in the first 5 minutes of this basketball game. And Cody Zeller, a guy that's gotten a block shot as well.
You mentioned deflections, 6 steals in the win over Chattanooga on Sunday. He was co-Big Ten Freshman of the Week. As a team, Indiana had 15 steals. Daniel Moore in the game, number 11. Derek Elston, who Tom Crean says could be starting at any time this year. Number 10 is Will Sheehy, as Crean goes to his second unit, minus Victor Oladipo, who's in the game, number 4, and Jordan Hall's number 1. Indiana, 5 of its last 5, and all been very close. Elston, offensive rebound. Oladipo right to the basket.
That's what Derek Elston does. He does those blue-collar things in order to help his team to win. You love guys that compete in that way.
Ned Cox, the left-handed shooter, regarded as a really good kid and athlete, on the drive, called for an offensive foul.
On number 22, Ned Cox.
You may not like the call. The bottom line is this is where Evansville needs to make their stand. They've got to dig in and get a defensive stop.
Sheehy on the 3, set up nicely by 11, Daniel Moore.
Sheehy, 3 points.
Indiana shooting over 80% in the first half. Evansville's problem isn't on this end. It's on the defensive end, trying to figure out a way to stop Indiana. I'd switch up defenses, go zone, maybe trap out of it, try something different.
Many of those shots have been high percentage. Aces have had to work deep into the shot clock. Here's Jar, lost the basketball, picked up by Moore. Elston running the floor and scoring, in Indiana all over the Aces tonight by 13, 29, 16.
Well, Marty Simmons may need another timeout to settle his team down.
Going to bring Denver Holmes back in the next whistle. Nice move by Kenny Harris inside, who can play forward or swing to that big guard spot. This pace, though, can Evansville hang in there with Indiana?
Well, not at this pace.
Not that time for Sheehy, and up the court comes Kenny Harris. Oladipo cheating for the backside, got the steal.
Evansville is a better basketball team than this. They just almost seem starstruck right now, surprised by the athleticism of this Indiana basketball team.
Oladipo with a big grin on his face right there. I think he's enjoying what the Indiana has put out there so far. Big Ten Player of the Week at 21 in the victory over the Mocs. And he will leave the game along with Daniel Moore.
More than any other Hoosier, he provides bursts. He provides the energy. He provides the smarts as well as to how to get to the rack by using those bursts of energy. Very quick.
Considered to be the team's best on-ball defender. Verdell Jones with a move and a flash to the goal.
And that's just unacceptable defense. And that's standing straight leg like a post and just giving up a layup right there. I'm sure Marty Simmons is very upset so far with the execution by his Evansville Purple Aces.
Harris able to draw a personal foul, and it'll be a shooting situation for the 6'6" senior forward or guard out of St. Louis, Missouri. Will Sheehy picks up the personal foul. Jim Barber with Mark Adams from the brand spanking new Ford Center in downtown Evansville tonight on ESPN3. And if you were just joining us, good to have you with us. So far, all Indiana. This place opened to a regular season game on the weekend to Butler. Drew 9,400, that's capacity, but I think a few more people will be sneaking in tonight.
Well, what a great win for Evansville over Butler. Back-to-back years, Evansville goes to first Indianapolis, wins in overtime. Butler returns the favor, comes down to Evansville, ends up being an 80-77 victory in overtime as Colt Ryan scored the last 6 points of that game. Tremendous victory to open this building for the Missouri Valley and for Evansville.
In a game in which Butler appeared to have won on a game-winning hoop by Andrew Smith that was nullified, led to free throws by Smith, missed them both, and in overtime Colt Ryan, as Mark mentioned, took over.
Well, I'd like to get Kenny Harris, number 32 in white, give him another touch. There he is.
Harris on the baseline to Holmes. Under 8 minutes, first half.
That's good offense. That's smart. Number 32 in white, Kenny Harris. He's hot. Keep giving him the basketball. Well done by Evansville.
Contact inside, a hold on the Aces. Indiana's points have come early and often and close to the rim. And here's Verdell Jones with a demonstration. Hoosiers by 8. Ford Center, Evansville, Indiana, our venue tonight. It is a new facility, and Mark, you travel across the country, particularly in the Missouri Valley. How's this facility, which cost $127 million, stack up?
Well, at the mid-major level, when you talk about facilities, it's tough to beat the Missouri Valley Conference, and certainly the Ford Center adds to the resume of beautiful buildings in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Decked out in purple and sold out for its very first 2 games. Can't beat having the national finalist in Butler in the first game, and Indiana, which draws a crowd wherever it goes in this state. Indiana in the visiting red uniforms with the ball. The Aces in their home white.
Now let's give credit to Tom Crean and the Indiana Hoosiers for going on the road. And there's Zeller again with the putback. But you don't often see a Big Ten team and a program the stature of Indiana willing to come to Evansville and promote basketball in this great state. Kudos to the Hoosiers and Tom Crean.
And on Saturday, in the matchup of High Division I and mid-majors, you and I will be there for Louisville, ranked 8th in the country, in Butler.
Yeah, that's one we circled on the calendar right there.
Yep.
Hinkle Fieldhouse, Rick Pitino in Louisville.
Shot clock winding down. Aces miss a 3. Zeller has his 3rd rebound to go with 4 field goals. That's Roth for 3, and they're getting some open looks here against this Evansville defense.
So unselfish. Indiana now with 15 field goals and 12 assists. That's called sharing the basketball, and Marty Simmons and the defense for Evansville simply does not have an answer for this unselfish Indiana offensive attack.
Marty Simmons, 2nd time out already in the first half. Indiana for the Big Ten Conference, expected to be another exciting year led by the Ohio State Buckeyes, which certainly are the team to beat. And then after that, there are a number of question marks. You think about Michigan, Illinois. Purdue might be lost in the shuffle. We saw them last Friday night. They looked mighty, mighty good.
Well, when you talk about the Big Ten, certainly the conversation has to start with Ohio State, who could win the national championship behind Jared Sullinger, Tim Hardaway Jr. and John Beilein, a great X's and O's coach. Illinois, certainly with Brandon Paul returning. Jordan Taylor and Bo Ryan always overachieves with that Wisconsin basketball team. But Jim, 2 sleepers in the Big Ten, Indiana and Purdue. That rivalry is going to mean a lot this year.
You think Indiana's headed for middle of the pack of the league?
And I think Purdue, with Robbie Hummel, who I believe is a first-team All-American, I think that team as well is underrated, a sleeper in the Big Ten.
8th deflection by Indiana, but unfortunately for the Hoosiers, they turn the ball back over in Evansville, trailing by 13 with the ball. Tom Crean, his 4th season, and a lot of people think a breakout season for IU.
When he took over this program, he was left with 2 walk-ons and 2 scholarship guys. He was left with nothing, Jim. And now, 4 years later, with Cody Zeller and good recruiting classes, solid recruiting classes, great player development, we're seeing the fruits of that hard work and labor and the patience of the Hoosier Nation.
How about the big guy at 6'9" out of Birmingham, Christian Watford with a 3, and that Indiana bench exploded with that field goal.
This is impressive.
Hoosiers' largest lead of the night at 39-23, and they're not stepping off the gas. Good pass inside Zeller, good fake. Basket and 1. And Zeller owns the inside.
Number 32, Kenny Harris. That's his 2nd personal.
And why? Because he outruns everybody down the floor. Look, he's beaten every white jersey in established position before a white jersey can even get into a defense. Look at the big guy run. He outruns everybody down the floor. There's some guys that jog down the floor. There's other big guys that sprint the floor. Cody Zeller sprints the floor.
Cody Zeller has 11 points on 5 of 5 field goals and a free throw. Tom Crean saying earlier today at shoot-around he is multi-dimensional, and we've been just trying to get him comfortable.
He looks like he's wearing an old pair of slippers and sitting in his favorite chair to me. He looks very comfortable.
Agreed. 42-23 Indiana. Colt Ryan has had a tough night because he can't get any breathing space. That's Jordan Jarr with the ball, number 13. We're under 5 minutes in the first half.
Another difference of the Indiana defense, the length of this team. There's a block shot right there, the deflections, the long wingspans.
Great pass from Roth, open shooter. That one missed by Derek Elston And the Aces back with the ball, but a lot of work to do. Indiana on an 11-0 run. And Colt Ryan is just having a tough time against whoever Tom Crean throws at him.
Credit the Indiana defense. It's longer, it's more active, it's quicker, it's more athletic as a group. Tom Crean, this is what he's been building for 4 years, and the Hoosier fans have been waiting for this. This team is much better than a lot of the experts predicted coming in.
I'd go along with that. And they've got a competitive enough non-conference schedule for us to get a really good view and impression of what they're going to be like this year, but it's not going to be the Indiana that was kicked around in the Big Ten the last 3 seasons.
95% of the scoring returns for Indiana, and then you add Cody Zeller to the mix. That's pretty good.
Oh, yes. Good fake by Jar. I just love watching Indiana accelerate in the front court. Indiana shooting 72% on 18 field goals and 14 assists. And Mark has mentioned it more than once. Doing a great job of sharing the ball. Indiana Hoosiers 42, the Evansville Aces 23, as the Hoosiers have knocked down 18 of 26 field goals and are currently on an 11-0 run that has lasted the last 3 minutes and 43 seconds. Coached by Tom Crean in his 4th year, and Crean has plenty of friends in the sports world, particularly when it comes to football, and he has relied on a number of those friends and relatives to help him with his own coaching game and perspective.
Well, in this case, it's more than friends, it's family.
Yep.
As he married into the Harbaugh family, he's the son-in-law of Jack Harbaugh, of course, great football coach at Western Kentucky, the brother-in-law of Jim and John Harbaugh. Of course, Jim leading the San Francisco 49ers now, and John with the Baltimore Ravens. And I believe that Tom Crean coaches like a football coach. He sees the preseason as a mini camp. He sees the off-season training activities just like the NFL. He's a very hands-on teacher in practice, as if he were a linebacker coach. This is a guy that really has probably more close friends and confidants in the coaching profession in football than he actually does in basketball. Not saying he doesn't have friends in basketball, but he really believes in the motivation and the organization of football coaches, and he's begged, borrowed, and stole very well from many great ones, including the Harbaugh family.
As you can tell by the number of points with Indiana, directly below that, the bonus situation in effect for the Hoosiers. But they missed their first bonus opportunity. Still lead by 19. And you mentioned Crean and family. Well, he had 4 years as an assistant coach under Tom Izzo at Michigan State. Went to the Final Four in his final year before heading to Marquette. As Holmes knocks down the jumper. And Tom Izzo would have made a pretty good football coach as well.
Well, the roommate for Tom Izzo, Steve Mariucci,
yep,
who also had a big influence on each other in the coaching profession.
Aces with a deflection, and Indiana unable to save it. And it's out of bounds to the University of Evansville.
Well, now for Evansville, it's really time to take that deep breath, settle down, get into your offense, get number 11, Colt Ryan, quality touches.
Ryan so far shooting the basketball just 1 of 5. He has 4 points. Coming off an overtime win over Butler, he scored 23. And there's another deflection by Elston, but the Aces keep the ball.
When a guy like Denver Holmes has to also step up offensively, number 34 in white. It's another good offensive option for the Purple Aces of Evansville.
Jordan Hall's running the baseline. Ryan fouls, team foul number 8. And for Indiana, back to the free throw line.
Number 11, Colt Ryan, that's his first personal foul, team 9.
Jordan Halls, who put together a long streak of consecutive free throws last year, 36 in a row.
Smart kid, 3.2 GPA in sports communication. I hope he becomes a play-by-play guy.
Well, thanks.
It's my professional advice to him.
Really appreciate that. He's a roommate of Will Sheehy, backup guard and sometimes forward for Indiana. Off the switch, Elston picks up Cox. And the battle right now is between Oladipo and Ryan. And Victor Oladipo picks up a personal foul in the hold. But he is stuck to Ryan so far, and Ryan's not had much of a chance to get some open looks.
Only the 4th team foul for Indiana with 2:18 to go. There's another deflection. And another deflection. In that case, a blocked shot.
Second block by Zeller. Good defense leads to offense.
Jordan Hall, 3 points.
The basket seems huge for Indiana, and a lot of it's been because Indiana has committed on the defensive end. Just watch the red jerseys. Watch the wingspan, watch the footwork, watch the help.
Ryan gets an open look. That's rare, but is a little short. And Cole Ryan picks up his second personal foul in the backcourt, trying to stop this Indiana Express.
Colt Ryan never misses that shot. I mean, Indiana right there, we're bragging on their defense, lack of communication. They all left the shooter, which is a cardinal sin in basketball. And Colt Ryan, one of the most highly respected shooters in the Missouri Valley Conference. That's how much this team is just off their game right now. This is a much better basketball team than what we've seen in the first half so far.
And with Indiana's plan in place to cut off the lead score, which has worked very effectively, Aces have struggled to get points from other players.
And Victor Oladipo has been the guy that's been matched up with Colt Ryan, number 4 in red at the free throw line right now. And he's a guy that certainly has scored the basketball well, 18.5 points per game in the first 2 games. But this is where we're seeing his real contribution. He can be a lockdown defender.
You were asking Tom Crean today what words come to mind describing Oladipo. He said burst and energy.
Yep.
Man, he hasn't been feeling well as of late, but I don't think there are any signs of that tonight.
I think he's fine.
Ace's top scorer in the game is Kenny Harris, who has 9. Cole Ryan has been limited to 4.
Oladipo's also a guy that's very smart. He's got a high basketball acumen, smart in the classroom as well. When you've got a guy that gives you that burst, gives you that energy, but also understands his role and performs his role both offensively and defensively, you've got something special. Especially with the injury situation at Indiana.
Indiana carries 16 players on its roster, but losing Maurice Creek early in the season, and for the rest of the season, a significant injury, and he has had plenty of injury problems, unfortunately, but that has allowed Oladipo to step forward.
That's exactly right. That injury has given this kid more opportunity to show his game, and he has shown it well so far.
Christian Watford returns for Indiana. Oladipo gets well-deserved rest. He has defended Colt Ryan tonight and defended him well. An 18-2 run in less than 6 minutes. This has been a blitz by the Hoosiers.
Good job getting back by Colt Ryan, but once again, which red jersey was back first? Cody Zeller. He outruns everybody.
He's got a wrap on that left arm, or partially left elbow. Doesn't affect his play at all, as so far tonight he's already in double figures. Also has a couple of blocks and 4 rebounds.
Good defense by Evansville.
Simmons says, let's push it up the floor. Cox does just that and leaves it short. That Cox, part of the MVC all-bench team from last year. Watford nearly had his second three. Verdell Jones able to clean up, and he'll go to the free throw line on the foul by Jordan Jarr. Can you pick out anything Indiana hasn't done well tonight?
I wish I could be constructively critical, but this basketball team has put on an absolute clinic. Defensively, they've been solid. They've cut down the touches for Colt Ryan. That was an important part of the game plan. Transition-wise, led by Zeller, outrunning the defense. They got easy basket after easy basket, and a lot has been in the paint, which opened up their three-point barrage.
And Indiana now in the double bonus, as the Hoosiers have doubled up on the Aces.
I'm shocked by this first half score.
Jumped out 7-0 on the Aces, had an 11-0 run later in this half, and have just controlled tempo and pace. Ryan on the move to the hole, leaves it short. Indiana can play for the final shot if it elects to do so. Instead, Oladipo fires a three, rebounded by Halls and taken away by Kenny Harris. Final seconds, first half, and Indiana will use a 30-second timeout to set up a play.
Now, Kenny Harris has been a bright spot for Evansville here in the first half. And this is interesting timeout. Tom Crean's a guy that likes to work on late game situations, and what a better time than with 5 seconds to go, he's going to draw up a play. Typically, late game situations when Zeller is in the game, Zeller would be kind of the trigger guy. He would be the guy that would set a screen and then roll back to the ball and then make the decision. Kind of like Butler used to use Gordon Hayward on side out of bounds plays, where somehow, some way, Gordon Hayward would get the ball and make the pass to win a game. Zeller in a similar role when he's in the game for late game situations for Tom Crean.
If you're looking at our time and score and it says 58 minutes and it tends to fluctuate back and forth, that's because the scoreboard, of which we're linked up with, is still going through some growing pains in its opening days here at the Ford Center. We can tell you that officially the game time should be under 7 seconds for the first half. They have put 58.1 up there, but I don't believe that's correct. Either way,
it was 5.1 when it went on the Fritz.
Yeah, they're not going to add another minute, and we will check that for you here shortly. 5.1 is likely what we'll work with. 51-27 Indiana.
Now with Zeller out of the game, I would look for Oladipo, number 4 in red, to be the trigger guy in this situation. He's down in the far corner right now as the official is looking over the clock situation.
So this official review will set the time officially at 5.8. They've had 0.7 of a second to this offensive series for Indiana. Set up in like a 1-2-1-1 formation.
This is designed for Oladipo. They want to give him the basketball.
Sheehy from 40. One of the few misses in the first half for visiting Indiana. Cody Zeller has come home. Grew up in Washington, Indiana, 45 minutes away, and he has 11 points, 4 rebounds, and a couple of blocks in his return to Southern Indiana. Indiana, which hit 12 of his first 15 from the floor, settles for 19 of 32 for 59%. In the meantime, limiting the Aces to just 34% shooting from the floor. Free throws, the Hoosiers have gotten to the line 11 times, converted 8. It's the assists of field goals that's impressive as well for IU. 14 assists to the 19 field goals, and a slight edge on the board, 20-15. So for the Aces, you're down a ton. How did it make things happen in the second half?
You've got to get back to your fundamentals, and you need to play a 4-minute game right now. You need to come out from the 20 to the 16 TV timeout and challenge yourself and your teammates to execute. Move the basketball, share the ball like Indiana did, and play much, much harder on the defensive end, and maybe even show a little bit of zone here in the second half to try to slow down this offensive juggernaut. And that guy right there, Colt Ryan, needs to step up and move hard without the basketball to get himself touches.
Ryan limited to 1 of 6 shooting and has scored 4 points after putting together a 23-point game in an overtime win over Butler on Saturday. Kenny Harris has had an impressive first half. Ready to throw the ball in to start the second half. He had 11 of the Aces' 27 points. The battle of the former Indiana All-Stars. A one-on-one start. Sellers had the big advantage, but Ryan starts off the second half with a field goal and a foul.
Much better start here for Evansville. And Colt Ryan did exactly what we talked about. He moved hard without the basketball. Good little shot fake there. Marty Simmons making the adjustment at halftime.
Watford had position for the rebound and lost the ball out of bounds. So the Aces get another opportunity. They were down 13 in the second half to Butler on Saturday before coming back. Another Indiana deflection and steal. Hall's trying to lead Zeller, and instead Taylor comes up with it for the Aces. Holmes' little stutter step, drop down, offensive foul, Denver Holmes.
Well, Denver Holmes left his feet right there. And Jordan Hall's a heady basketball player, was right in the paint, ready to take the charge. Good preparation off the scouting report.
Halls, Zeller, Jones, Watford, and Oladipo for Indiana. Holmes, Harris, Ryan, Peeler, and Taylor for the Aces.
Well, Indiana started off this game really focusing on getting Cody Zeller quality touches in the paint. See if they can work that right here. Timeout. Better defense by Evansville. A little more life in this Evansville basketball team.
Aces able to force Indiana into a timeout. We'll come back in a moment here on ESPN 3. It is certainly a given for Indiana coach Tom Crean and the Hoosiers to be any better this season. They must find ways to win away from Assembly Hall in Bloomington.
Now there's the 1-26 number. The last several seasons in Big Ten play, the only victory at Penn State in 2010. And this is a basketball team right now up by 22, but they've got to learn how to close the deal. We've seen Evansville come out a little bit better defensively, certainly executing better offensively, and Tom Crean doesn't want to leave any margin for error or leave any type of indecisiveness of the outcome of this game right now. It's time to bury Evansville and close the deal.
Hoosiers won their first 2 games of the season at Assembly Hall, and this obviously is their first road game. Shot clock at 3. Good block by Ryan and a shot clock violation. So on this series, Mark, Evansville forces an Indiana timeout and forces Indiana into a shot clock violation.
Evansville with 2 good defensive stands. Colt Ryan get more involved in the offense here. We're starting to see the real Evansville basketball team here in the second half.
Do you think the Aces were shell-shocked in the first half?
No question. No question. I don't think they expected Indiana to be quite as good as they are, but they're responding here in the second half.
Oladipo, number 4, continues to guard 11 Ryan. And Zeller helped take that one away. Great ball movement, and Jones buries a 3.
Another assist. 15 assists on 20 baskets. 75% of the time, the extra pass has paid off for Indiana. I'm really surprised to see Evansville just stop moving like that. Typically, they constantly move without the basketball.
Oladipo lost the ball. Zeller nearly tipped it home. It's out of bounds to Evansville. The only offensive bright spot for the Aces has been Kenny Harris, who has scored 11.
Well, let's focus on the white jerseys on this half-court possession. Let's see if the white jerseys move without the basketball, because they're known for their motion offense, continuous motion. Let's see how well they get the ball moving on this possession.
Ryan right now on the baseline trying to run through some screens. Oladipo able to fight through that.
Look at the white jerseys standing around watching Colt Ryan. Turns into a turnover.
Off the hands at the last moment of the Aces. Marty Simmons certainly expecting better tonight, but running into an Indiana team from the beginning that had its A game going.
One of the pluses of this Evansville offense is their ability to move without the basketball, but they just seem to be locked in a mode of standing tonight. Very unusual for Evansville.
Zeller's first miss. Oladipo got it back. Watford though blocked, and here's Troy Taylor. A rare fast break for the Aces. And he is fouled as he motors into the front court.
You know, Jim, when you're evaluating your team's play, the one thing you want to do is focus on a guy that really plays hard. And Kenny Harris, he blocks the shot on one end, and what does he do? Sprints the floor, beats everybody down. Didn't get the basket or get a touch, but he's playing. There he is right there. That's a good hard cut to the high post area. And draws contact.
Chris Hollander calls him, what, a junkyard dog?
Well, he is. That kid's really playing hard. So when you go back and look at the video and say, okay, guys, what do we got to do to get better? Just watch number 32 and watch his effort. He's setting a great example tonight.
Played 26 minutes in the win over Butler, scored 8 points, had 6 rebounds. And tonight he is by far Evansville's best scorer.
See if we see some full court pressure now from Marty Simmons out of the made free throw.
Two free throws for Kenny Harris, who has 13. And a foul on Taylor.
Fouls on number 5, Troy Taylor. That's his second personal foul.
This Indiana team set to bus back after the game. Get set for the Hoosier Invitational. Trying to improve to 3-0 in the year. Never trailing in this game. Christian Watford knocks down another three at 6'9". Watford has hit a couple of those tonight.
We saw a similar display the other night up in West Lafayette, and I know the Indiana fans will be thrilled to hear us talking about Purdue. But Purdue shot the ball extremely well in their 62-point victory over Northern Illinois. And this Indiana team putting on a similar shooting display is what we saw from Purdue for long stretches the other night. Indiana and Purdue, those are my two sleeper picks in the Big Ten. And that was before we saw them, Jim, as you know. I just really felt like both these teams were highly improved in different ways. Of course, you lose E'Twaun Moore, you lose Juwan Johnson at Purdue, but Robbie Hummel returns.
Purdue the other night stretched to a 2-point win over High Point. Boilermakers set for a tournament in Puerto Rico. Colt Ryan has now picked up his third personal foul. Well, it's not characteristic of him to get into foul difficulties, as that had much to do with his offensive frustration tonight. Inside Watford. Good entry, pass by Jones. Easy basket for the Hoosiers, and the lead is 28. And any part of that good start for Evansville in the second half has already been negated.
Boy, that's frustrating because Evansville did a good job of defending the out-of-bounds play, but didn't sustain it.
Denver Holmes with a field goal for the Aces. Jones another drop off to Zeller, and when we come back, the hometown kid, or at least the kid that grew up close to Evansville in Washington, Indiana, will be going to the free throw line. When play resumes, Cody Zeller will step to the free throw line for Indiana. In attendance tonight, mom and dad and sister-in-law, Steve and Lori, and Hope. Hope is married to Luke Zeller, who has had some good moments with the Indiana Pacers in the NBA, but there's a problem, Mark. Right now there is no NBA. Yeah. Not through December 15th, and I was asking Steve about that before the game. He said, well, whatever the Lord has in mind for Luke and the rest of the league, but right now not very promising with the recent cancellation of games.
You know, there is an NBA.
Yeah.
It's North Carolina and Kentucky. Those two teams have more NBA players than some NBA teams have.
Tyler Zeller, part of the family, playing for the Tar Heels, and Cody, who has 11 points, ready to go to the free throw line. And we're talking about things that impressed you the most about Cody, and you had to narrow it down to one particular item. What would it be?
Well, let's first of all look at 6'11", and there are big guys that block shots. There are big guys that can play with their back to the basket. There are big guys that can face up and knock down a jump shot. Cody Zeller does all of those things. And he has such a tremendous upside, and he doesn't have the strength yet or the maturity that he's going to gain. And so if I had to describe him, it would be all around. He is a big basketball player.
When his Washington Hatchets showed up for the shoot-around for the Class 3A high school basketball finals last year at Conseco Fieldhouse, one of the opposing teams not in the same class, the players all came by with cameras to take pictures, which had a little trouble getting them focused.
I think you and I should do that tonight.
Sure. Verdell Jones, the third, knocking down the three, and the lead is 30.
The 18th assist for the 23rd basket of the game for the Indiana Hoosiers.
Colt Ryan able to answer with a three of his own, but those looks have been few and far between this evening because of Indiana's defense.
Well, this is truly Hoosier basketball. Share the ball, make everybody else better, finish above the rim like Cody Zeller. Impressive. And this team better be, because Ohio State is really, really good. It'll be interesting to see how Cody Zeller goes up mano-a-mano with a guy like Jared Sullinger, who really likes to get physical, back to the basket.
Indiana will see Ohio State very early in the Big Ten season.
William Buford, he could stretch a defense. Aaron Kraft, a great decision maker. You got Sullinger down low. Deshaun Thomas, an athletic scoring presence. Thad Matta has a whole lot of weapons in Columbus.
Certainly there will be nights that will be challenging for Cody Zeller, but the way he has played tonight, as Verdell Jones shaken up, gives you the impression there won't be many frustrating nights for him.
Well, if you're playing against him, if you're game planning against Indiana, one thing that you're going to want to do is get very, very physical with Zeller and push him off the block. Of course, he has facing skills, which creates its own set of issues, but you can't let him rule the paint like he has tonight.
He is 230. What do you think he'll bulk up to as his career continues at IU?
Well, look at his shoulders. Look at his frame. He's got a great frame. It's a matter of adding now to that. I mean, he can put another 30, 40 pounds on that frame as he grows into a man. Right now, he's just a young man.
Shot clock is under 10 for one of the few times tonight for Indiana. Sheehy skying for the rebound. And Evansville will get the basketball. Paul Jansen right now having a conversation with Lewis Jones, one of the aces, who had 12 points, a couple of rebounds in the win on Saturday.
Where Indiana has improved, the book on Indiana was, A, you could get by them off the dribble. Now you look at all the deflections, they've got better backside defense, they got more active hands and feet, and so they've improved dramatically in that area. B is getting after the offensive glass, and Tom Crean still has to be concerned about that, as this ball club was out-rebounded by 1.5 rebounds per game in their opening 2 ball games.
As good as the Hoosiers have been tonight, is there a tendency to read too much into this performance and project it in terms of how they'll play on the road this year?
Yeah, but I'm not concerned about Tom Crean allowing that to happen. We've seen him. He's got that football mentality. He's going to have these guys' attention real fast on practice tomorrow.
Here's Jordan Holes on a flash to the goal. He's done that a couple of times tonight.
You know, and Jim, in visiting with Benny Seltzer today, the assistant basketball coach at Indiana, when I asked him about any chance of overlooking Evansville, he goes, Mark, we lost to Northern Iowa and a lot of other folks along the way. No. He said, we're not overlooking anybody. These guys come from humble beginnings. Tom Crean's been through it all. As we take a look at Calbert Cheney there. The great players in Indiana.
Calbert, former Evansville star at Harrison High School. Looked as if he would wind up playing for Jim Cruz in Evansville. Decided to go to Indiana, play for Bob Knight. Great career, and then on to the NBA. Second three for Colt Ryan here in the second half.
Well, beautiful stroke by Colt Ryan.
And Tom Crean says enough of that. Victor Oladipo get back in the game. He will at the next whistle.
You know, Tom Pritchard, number 25 in red. He's a guy that's had some preseason injuries. Another big, strong body down low.
That's Will Sheehy stepping to the free throw line, a chance for a three-point play. And you mentioned Pritchard. Big thing for him is playing without personal fouls. By the way, Pritchard's playing in his 97th game as a member of the Hoosiers.
And Jim, we talked about people getting physical with Cody Zeller. Tom Pritchard can be an enforcer for this basketball team because he can dish it out as well as anybody. Teammate of Delvon Rowe, St. Edward's High School up in the Cleveland area. And of course, Delvon Rowe, Tom's good friend, will not be able to play physically for Michigan State this year. Just too many knee problems throughout his career. Tom Pritchard was like the second, he was the second guy on that team and ended up going to Indiana. Not as heralded as Delvon Rowe, but yet Tom Pritchard will be playing this year, and Delvon Rowe unfortunately done at Michigan State. That's a big loss for Tom Izzo.
It is unfortunate.
Great
personal foul. Oh, yeah.
Great kid.
Fourth foul in Denver Holmes sends him to the bench. Aces in the home white have trailed from the beginning. Indiana came out with a blitz. First 7 points. Oh, set three in transition, buries it.
And another assist.
Well, Tom Crean came with 16 players, and many of them are going to see action tonight. Look at Daniel Moore hustling for the loose ball and a tie-up. Possession arrow favors Indiana. Jordan Holes is one of the veterans Mark talked about, one of those guys coming back with plenty of points in his arsenal. The Hoosiers now lead by 31. Jim Barber, Mark Adams, Christian Watford for Indiana, who wears number 2, has knocked down 2 3-pointers tonight. Indiana as a team has 9.
Well, let's take a look at the Christian Watford repertoire offensively. 3 points, a little bit of high-low action right there. Been able to do the dirty work down low on the out-of-bounds play. But how did he get into the offensive flow? This is a guy that gains confidence by first playing great defense, got a couple deflections early in this game, and then went out and got some defensive rebounds and offensive stickbacks. He gets energy off of his defense and rebounding, and then his offensive confidence grows.
Terrific balanced scoring, and if Victor Oladipo can score another field goal, all 5 starters will have been in double figures for the Hoosiers. Indiana has forced 15 Evansville turnovers, has come up with 7 steals, also winning the rebounding edge 28-21.
The thing that graphic shows is that Cody Zeller, as we talked about, doesn't have to score for this team to win. There are other options, and he's more than happy to give the ball up.
And you mentioned this number before, but it bears mentioning again. 21 assists for 27 made field goals for the Hoosiers. Make it 22 for 28. Wow.
You know, Tom Crean is not an easy guy to make happy.
No.
He's got to be pleased with this performance tonight.
Oladipo fouling Colt Ryan. Well, the fans' impression of Crean for the most part has been that this is our guy and he's going to get it done, that they've been patient. But Indiana fans, being Indiana fans and expecting a lot, have not been happy with the last 3 years. And they shouldn't be.
But they've been pragmatic about it.
They have.
I think that's the best way to put it. I mean, everybody knows Tom Crean came in here with 2 walk-ons and 2 scholarship guys. Everybody else was gone. And he had to rebuild this entire Indiana program from scratch. The program was intact, but the personnel was not. And when you say Indiana basketball, special things come to mind. But Tom Crean needed new bodies, completely restock this program, and that doesn't happen overnight, especially in the Big Ten.
Evansville in the bonus with 11 minutes to go in the second half. If you had to project, gosh, we're only in November, but if you had to project March, would this be an Indiana team flirting with an NCAA bid?
Yes.
Or likely NIT?
I think NCAA bid.
Really?
I think this team is a middle-of-the-pack Big Ten team, and middle-of-the-pack Big Ten team usually gets you into the NCAA tournament.
The number of projections that see 8 of the 12 Big Ten teams getting into the tournament.
That's projecting this team,
sure,
assuming that Zeller continues to move forward. A guy like Christian Watford continues to play hard and produce. Oladipo, a guy that I think has really stepped up his game.
Indiana's best defender, who has gone to work on Colt Ryan tonight, limiting him to 12 points.
Now, is this team at the level to knock off a Kentucky, for example? I think that's difficult unless Kentucky has a freshman, sophomore brain cramp that night, because Kentucky has obviously better talent from top to bottom. North Carolina, same thing. I think Ohio State is physically superior. I think Duke is physically superior. But once you get past that upper echelon of Syracuse, people like that, then, you know, Indiana is capable of winning some of those games, and that's what puts you in the NCAA tournament.
You mentioned Kentucky. Indiana will host Kentucky on December 10th. will play at North Carolina State in the ACC Big Ten Challenge on November 30th. Mark Gottfried, the new coach of the Wolfpack. And further down the line, the opening of the Big Ten at Michigan State on the 28th, and New Year's Eve, home to Jared Sullinger and Ohio State.
How about November 27th? Butler.
Yep.
You know, Butler's going to be one of those teams. Brad Stevens and both Rick Pitino, both those guys are known for maybe dropping a game or two in November and then watch out as they get their team's attention. I think Butler's a ball club that lost here against Evansville, but has a chance to make quantum leaps of improvement because of the way Brad Stevens goes about his business, the Butler way.
As you can see by the scoreboard on your screen, both teams now listed in the bonus with 9:45 for the game. Rare Indiana turnover. And in the open court, Evansville's best scorer tonight, Kenny Harris, with a field goal, and he is fouled.
Well, Evansville returns nearly 70% of their scoring. Kenny Harris, a guy that has played very well tonight. He's definitely been a bright spot for this Evansville basketball team.
He has 15 points and 5 field goals and 4 of 4 from the line.
You know, Jim, I wonder if there's a little bit of a hangover here, too. From that Butler overtime victory. You know, Marty Simmons, I know that he and his staff prepared this team well, but you got to wonder if psychologically they weren't quite as ready to play as they need to be tonight coming to this game.
45-minute game against the Bulldogs that had just about every conceivable emotion, including one which appeared that Evansville had lost the game on the length of the court pass and layup at the buzzer. After further review, a foul was called and committed prior to the end of the game. So Simmons' team got a chance to watch Butler attempt 2 free throws. Either free throw likely would have won it for Butler. Both were missed, and the Aces went on to win in overtime.
Andrew Smith not able to knock it down. Played very well. Not able to knock down either of those free throws, and that's the difference between winning and losing many times right there at the stripe.
And on ESPN3, Saturday afternoon at the Cathedral of College Basketball, Hinkle Fieldhouse. We'll be there for Butler and Louisville.
With Peyton Sieve, I'm looking forward to seeing him live. He's a guy that makes so many big plays and big times coming down the stretch, and you got to think that potentially could be just an old barn burner.
Writer Rick Bozich visiting with us from the Louisville Courier-Journal and telling us that there's some injury problems that Rick Pitino's dealing with right now with the Cardinals.
And of course, Blackshear and Mike Mara, one of the great shooters in the country. He's done now for the year as well.
Nice fake by Lewis Jones. I think this kid's got some talent. Cody Zeller, his second personal foul as we dip under 9 minutes for the game.
Good look at Lewis Jones at 12 points against Butler. Improving young talent here at Evansville. Kind of got that Herschel Walker build to him. He's a stout young man. Continue to get stronger and better. Athletic.
Ball's running the show for the Hoosiers.
Indiana a little bit ragged here. They've gone deep in their bench. It's a little bit out of sync.
Sheehy can jump, and Jones, who has 7 assists, gets the turnover. Aces back the other way, out of control and can't convert. And the ball over to Indiana. Well, the Aces have taken something off the deficit, which had reached 31 at one point. In fact, actually, it was up to 33 at 74-41.
Well, this becomes a learning experience for Evansville. In a very difficult conference with Creighton, who will be a top 25 team this year. Wichita State returns the majority of guys from a team that won the NIT last season, knocked off Alabama and Washington State at Madison Square Garden. to win the NIT. Indiana State won the automatic bid by winning Arch Madness in St. Louis, led by Jake Odom.
Had a chance to see Indiana State in Cleveland. We were there for the NIT first and second rounds, and they were at Quicken Loans Arena playing Syracuse in the opening round of the NCAA tournament that same weekend.
You know, the Missouri Valley combined with the Colonial, the Horizon League, and the West Coast Conference. Those teams that went to postseason play in the NCAA tournament and NIT won 80% of their games against Power 6 conference opponents on neutral floors. Let me say that again. Won 80% of their games, went 12-3 against Power 6 opponents on neutral floor. Everybody else outside the Power 6 went 3-19. This Missouri Valley Conference, along with the Colonial, the Horizon League, and the West Coast, that's the best of mid-major basketball.
I'd agree with that. And this past week, Cleveland State for the Horizon League beat Vandy on the road in Nashville. Youngstown State beat Notre Dame on the road in South Bend.
By 18.
Yep. Also for the Horizon League. And in matching up with the big boys, so far so good.
Well, there's the conference numbers right there. The only one we didn't list was Indiana State's loss makes it 12-3 on neutral site against the Power 6 schools. What a stat for those four conferences. Better than the A-10, better than the Mountain West, better than every other non-Power 6 conference.
VCU under the direction of Shaka Smart picking up where that team left off last year, making it to the Final Four. 7:47 remains. The new Ford Center packed to the gills tonight, and unfortunately for Aces fans, Indiana has dominated, leading 78-53. With Mark Adams, I'm Jim Barber. The final 8 minutes ready to commence here as the Aces go inside the huddle with their coach in his 5th season, Marty Simmons. Showing you what's coming up for Indiana. Let's take a look at Evansville. It includes for the Aces a road trip to #1 North Carolina on December 6th on ESPNU.
Wow, that's a tall order right there. I mean, Harrison Barnes is really good. And then he's got 5 other guys that are about as good as he is.
Face the other Zeller.
Yep. At Miami, that's no picnic either. Charlie Coles and Miami Redhawks knocked off the Dayton Flyers in overtime the other night. Tough place to go and play at Millett Hall in Oxford, Ohio.
Nick Cronin of Cincinnati says about Charlie, he says, you know, I almost shorten all my post-game remarks just so I can listen to him.
Very entertaining.
On a post-game press conference. $14 points tonight for Christian Watford.
Well, Indiana putting an exclamation point on this thing tonight. And, you know, when you look over the first week of the regular season, 11 non-Power 6 programs have knocked off Power 6 schools. There's Northwest Ohio with Youngstown State. You mentioned them, their victory over Notre Dame. Cleveland State with the victory at Vandy. Akron winning at Mississippi State. Kent State with a victory at West Virginia. That's all within about a 40-mile radius in Northwest Ohio, all those schools.
Think we'll start to get to the point where we won't be surprised anymore?
No, that's the joy of college basketball. And again, Indiana coming to Evansville. What a great opportunity for Evansville and their fans.
Zeller hits the deck. Zeller's okay. It's gotten quite physical inside.
Yeah, very, very physical. Jones put in there to muscle up a little bit with Cody Zeller, and we're going to see more and more of this in the Big Ten.
The ruling is a double foul. Jones gets one and Zeller gets one, and for Zeller that's his 3rd.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Tom Pritchard on the horizon coming back in this game.
Austin Etherington comes in. Zeller gets a rest. And you wonder if Zeller might be through for the night.
Yeah, Tom Crean doesn't want some errant elbow to take care of a 6'11 freshman. I think he'll be safer right there on the bench for a while.
Speaking of Lewis Jones, he explodes to the basket and is fouled.
13, Austin Eppington. That's his first personal foul.
Cody Zeller in his return to the Evansville area. Played at Washington High School with 14 points, 9 rebounds, led the Hatches to state championships. They dominated Class 3A play. Humble kid.
I watched him during the summer evaluation period and was so impressed with his poise and his passing ability. I mean, you don't see that a lot from big guys. It's kind of like, what's in it for me, and I'm going to score the ball, but he never plays that way. He plays very selfless basketball.
Learned well from his brothers, did he not?
Yeah. They probably beat him up if he didn't.
Luke in the NBA and Tyler at the University of North Carolina. And mom and dad, whom we've shown on TV a couple times tonight. Quite a humble bunch. Strong in faith and spending a lot of miles right now on the road. First to see Tyler play. They saw him in San Diego on Veterans Day. Now tonight in Evansville. It's quite a schedule to keep up with those two programs.
They're going to see some pretty good basketball too.
Entering the ballgame for the Aces, number 11, Colt Ryan.
Colt Ryan, who has 14 points tonight, re-enters the game for the Aces. Both teams at this point in the double bonus as we dip under 6.5 minutes.
Well, Indiana just still playing that stingy defense. It doesn't matter who Tom Crean puts in. You're going to get a bunch of guys competing. You know, this is a hungry program. This is a program that's been down for 3 seasons.
And Marty Simmons' group, which was 500 last year, started off with that dramatic come-from-behind win over Butler. Will regroup when this game is history. But they have run into a pretty talented bunch tonight.
There's been a situation where one team executed extremely well and the other team simply didn't answer that challenge.
Burdell Jones, who just gave up the ball, has 7 assists to lead Indiana's backcourt. And now Jones pays off the good passing with a long jumper.
Mike Sanzier stepping in, making sure that Christian Watford and Denver Holmes don't get in anything. They both just slapped 5 right there. Good sportsmanship. You almost feel like Indiana feels like every kid on this team has something to prove. I mean, those wounds run deep for a program like Indiana to drop as far as it has in the Big Ten picture. And now Tom Crean appears to have this program headed in a very positive direction.
And some credit to its fans. They still draw big numbers for the Hoosiers in Assembly Hall in Bloomington, and they'll be attracted to the upcoming schedule. And tonight they have come out decked out in cream and crimson, and there's that color all over the building this evening.
I mean, overall wins in the Big Ten over the last 3 seasons for Indiana: 1, 4, and 3.
It's been ugly.
In spite of that, 16,000 fans showed up for Midnight Madness.
Yeah.
16,000 for a team that won a collective 8 games over 3 seasons in the Big Ten.
Not many places in the country where you get that kind of support.
There's only one other place I can think of. When the Dayton Flyers back in the 90s won 3 games in the season, they averaged over 13 fans in a building that only seats 13,000 fans. So on the loyalty scale, certainly major kudos to Indiana Hoosier fans and, of course, the Dayton Flyers as well. Not many programs would go through that large of a loss deficit and turn out that loyally for their team.
And you mentioned the Flyers under new basketball management this season.
Archie Miller.
Jordan Nelson.
Jordan Nelson, who did not play in the game with Butler over the weekend, with the basket for the Aces. Will Sheehy, who has some very good athletic ability, scoring off the bounce.
Well, the marathon tip-off, of course, featured what a tremendous feat by Mike Krzyzewski, surpassing Bob Knight. Of course, the majority of Bob Knight's wins as the #1 coach was at Indiana. Didn't end well.
Coach in attendance last night in New York City for the big moment. Between the coach and his former point guard, a collective 1,805 victories.
Well, there's the numbers right there on the left-hand side for Mike Krzyzewski. In the previous 75 years at Duke, Duke went to 4 Final Fours. Now, Vic Bougas, coach there. I mean, we're talking about some fine coaches during that time, 75 years, 4 Final Fours. In the last 25 seasons at Duke, Mike Krzyzewski has won 4 NCAA titles, not gone to 4 Final Fours, won 4 NCAA titles, 11 Final Fours, and won 789 wins, more than any other program in America. That's what Mike Krzyzewski has done. He's taken Duke, which was a good college basketball program, and turned it into an elite college basketball program.
He also has the most NCAA tournament victories at 79.
The only program in the country to win 30 games or more the last 3 seasons, Duke.
That was on number 4, Victor Oladipo. That's his 4th personal foul.
And just tremendous consistency. And the amazing thing is, he played for and coached under Knight. So that Knight legacy from Indiana to Mike Krzyzewski, those two guys combined over 1,800 victories. I mean, there's not going to be anybody even coming close to that of head coach, mentor, teacher type, student relationship. And Mike Krzyzewski's not done by a long shot. He's 3 seasons away from 1,000. 30 every year. He's going to be right there.
Second field goal for Jordan Nelson, a 3-pointer. Speaking of Bob Knight, Marty Simmons played a few seasons under Knight's direction, then transferred to Evansville. And a couple of sparkling years for the Aces. Jordan is one of the top 15 all-time Evansville players. Well, right now it's just bombs away for Evansville, and pretty effectively.
Denver Holmes a really good competitor. Tom Crean talked about Denver Holmes, that he was like that second X-factor guy for Evansville.
Holmes considered to be the kid with the biggest heart on this team. 3 minutes to go before we close things out here in Evansville. Time for a game recap. Indiana has 5 players in double figures on the night. Cody Zeller with 14 points, 9 rebounds, a couple of block shots. Verdell Jones has 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists.
And the Indiana Hoosiers have 23 total assists on their 30 made baskets. Total domination by the Hoosiers here tonight.
Largest lead of the game was 33 by the Hoosiers at 74-41. Never trailing in this game. Led 7-0 in the opening minutes. Had an 11-0 run late in the first half that put them up by 24 at the break. And improved that here in the second half.
Well, what was impressive early game was the execution of pounding the ball inside to Cody Zeller, pounding it into Christian Watford. And that really established their dominance in the paint early in this game. And psychologically, Indiana came out here ready to prove that 1-26 number is going to change real quick in the Big Ten on the road.
Going to be some road victories to speak of this year for the Hoosiers. Ryan posting down low for the moment. Pritchard, Moore, Elston, in the game for the Hoosiers. Along with Roth. Remy Abel. And this is Derek Elston, who Crean says, well, he could be starting.
A big energy guy right there. He'll do whatever it takes to win basketball games. It's been a long night for the Evansville Purple Aces. This is a better basketball team than this. But sometimes you have nights like this, and better in November than March. This team will get better and learn from this experience.
Colt Ryan trying to lead the break to Troy Taylor, who will go to the free throw line, as both teams have long been in the double bonus.
Fouls on number 32, Derek Elston. That's his third personal foul.
Troy Taylor from Anderson, Indiana.
Now, part of the success of this basketball program, there's Steve McLean on the far left, Calvert Chaney, Tim Buckley, Benny Seltzer. That group's been with Tom Crean here and continue to develop this program. On the far right there, Benny Seltzer actually was our point guard at Washington State University when I coached at Washington State. Was an assistant there. Benny was a point guard.
Mentioned Calvert Chaney, the director of basketball operations back in Bloomington.
Benny's ready to be head coach. He understands the X's and O's. He's recruited extremely well for Tom Crean. Benny's going to be a head coach real quick.
And deservedly so.
You know, I like what Tom does with his assistants. He really grooms them to be a head coach. He's not a guy that tries to hold on to them. He's a guy that tries to mentor them, help them get to that next level. That's what head coaches should do.
You know how many coaches from the Tom Izzo chain have made it into the head coaching brand of college basketball. Some quite successful at it.
Oh, Brian Gregory now at Georgia Tech. Todd Kowalczyk up at Toledo. Long list of Izzo guys.
And we saw Mark Montgomery.
Yep. Northern Illinois, the youngest team in the country.
Also number 13, Austin Etherington. And number 24, Jeff Howard.
Bench is long emptied in this game.
Entering the ballgame for the Aces, Jordan Jar, who will be entering for the shooter.
And the Hoosiers are going to start the season at 3-0.
Well, in this young season, we've seen Purdue in person and Indiana in person. So who do we want to make mad? If we were to pick between the two. You live in Indianapolis, so I'm not even going to put you on the spot.
You know, we're going to be off the air in about a minute.
Well, I think both those teams are very interesting. I think both those teams are sleeper teams in the Big Ten. And for me, it's a little bit difficult to differentiate right now.
They will finish the regular season in Bloomington on senior night. How about that for scheduling by the Big Ten Conference? Well, the final score will look a little more respectable. You know, lost in the shuffle of this, Colt Ryan got to the free throw line 9 times tonight. In the first 2 games, Mark, he has been to the stripe 27 times.
Credit the footwork. Man, we talk about the footwork and the deflection ability, and Colt Ryan, obviously the entire Indiana defense focused on that young man. Stop Colt Ryan. And Indiana is long enough and athletic enough now to do exactly that.
.51 first half for IU, followed by 42 in the second.
It's a statement game right here for Indiana. Go on the road. And this would have been a hostile environment had the crowd ever got a chance to get into it.
Which it didn't.
And Indiana just dominated right from the beginning.
Jordan Jar.
It's Jordan Jar, who made part of his previous basketball at Air Force Prep School in Colorado Springs. Jar, who hails from Austin, Texas, is a sophomore. Got a pretty good touch from the outside. And with 9.3 seconds to go, free throws forthcoming.
Well, Indiana fans are going to sleep a little better tonight.
Think they were worried about this one?
I would have been. Coming in here, new building, coming off the victory over Butler. Colt Ryan, a quality player. Marty Simmons, the coach. And it's not like Indiana's been a road warrior.
No.
This is a tremendous effort. The way that they did, the way that they dominated.
Mark C. at Hinkle Fieldhouse before a raucous house on Saturday.
Looking forward to it. Louisville at Butler.
For Mark Adams, I'm Jim Barber. So long from Evansville. The final score tonight, IU 94, Evansville 73. For an archived copy of this entire game as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks, log on to ESPN3.com. Thanks for watching. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.